Hello, this is Barbara around the WNBA. So, Bonner will not be playing with the Fever on Saturday against the Liberty. That's interesting. Two reasons. One, we all know something's been going on with Bonner since he's joined the Fever. And there have been, you know, different thoughts about that, but I don't know any of the reasons. But I do know this that when she played last season for Connecticut, she was spot on. She played very well. Since joining the Fever, she's not been herself. And I know that you have been aware of that. I've been aware of that. We've all seen it as fans. We've all seen, in terms of her play. And so it's almost to be expected that she's been out from practice and, per her coach, will not be probably attending the Liberty game for personal reasons. Whenever someone talks about personal reasons, it could be anything. We can only speculate, but it could be anything. But more than not, where I usually go to, it has to do with family. It has to do with something with family. Now, I don't know. Again, I have no idea. That's just a guess. So I pray that all is well with her family and all is well with her. And she's moving through whatever it is that she needs to move through. Absolutely. But it does explain why she's been off this whole time with the Fever. Because she's not been herself. That being said, the second thing that's, perhaps maybe a positive in this is that maybe this will give Timpson some time on the court. She is a big, and they need someone with some height and wingspan. And so we have Timpson, who is tall and who has a nice wingspan. So why wouldn't they decide to give her a shot and let her play against the Liberty? I'm hoping that's going to be the case. And I'm sure that you're hoping the same thing, that they will let her play because we want to see her play. So, sometimes things that happen make way for other things to come to the light or to, happen that's maybe on a positive note. If CC wasn't out and Cunningham wasn't out, then we would never have seen the way that McDonald could play on the court and how she is as a point guard and what she can do just coming, after a couple of days and just fitting right in and being and producing it and, doing the job. So likewise, I'm hoping that this will also be a moment for Timpson where she can play, where she can be a part of the team and really experience that in a big way. There's a lot going on in the WNBA. I just need to say this. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on with an organization themselves. Just stuff that's happening. Okay. And I don't know all of what that is, but there's lots of going on there. There's stuff going on in teams, the teams of the WNBA. This was a big season for free agency, and a whole bunch of new rookies came aboard. So you mix all that up, and it's like, woof. It's a lot going on. And for every team that has rookies and new pieces on them, vets or whatever, it's got to be a tough thing to settle down and to get with the program and to really understand how each other plays and to build chemistry. That's got to be a challenge. I've been thinking about that. I don't know if you have, but I've been thinking about that. It doesn't give any excuses to vets or people who need to be producing. Because no matter what's going on, you're still a basketball player. You're still a pro, professional basketball player. So you need to still produce. How you feel or what's going on with you should not affect that. And if it does, you need not to be on the court. Bottom line. But seeing all that, I mean, haven't you noticed it? I mean, haven't you noticed that this influx of new people switched around to different teams that are basically, doing different things. Okay? And they got to learn the schemes. They got to learn how these players work. And if you're a point guard, you got to learn a whole host of things. And if you're this or that, there's a lot going on. But one thing, again, a little bit of positive to all of this is there are certain players that are settling down with their new teams, and they are just so happy. They are so happy. One that I want to talk to you about briefly is this one. Erica Wheeler, who used to play, on the Indiana Fever. And she was always a happy person on the Fever. I mean, and all that kind of stuff. And once in a while, she would produce with significant numbers. But usually, she was just sort of like on the bench and came in when she needed to come in and did her best. No complaints there. But now, okay, she's with the Seattle Storm. And if any of y'all watched the last game with the Seattle Storm versus the Minnesota Lynx, who lost that game, okay, a lot of that was on a team defense, the team offense for Seattle Storm. Okay, they worked together. They worked at a fast pace. Erica Wheeler and Diggins were at the foremost, the front of all of that in terms of pointing, they were the point guards. And basically, they did spectacular. Spectacular. And I would also add Gabby Williams into that too. She did things on the court with the basketball that I haven't seen in a long time. She was spectacular. So there are some players who have come to another team like Erica Wheeler, who basically we can see that she's flourishing. She went off on the court against the Lynx. And she was alive. She was, fast. She was quick. She was getting buckets from the perimeter, 3-pointers, and also, in the paint. She was on it. She was all in. That is such a good thing to see when a player is flourishing, isn't it? When they are coming alive, when they are being themselves, and when they are being, they're just totally producing. And they are happy, and you can tell they're happy. That's what I see in Erica Wheeler. She was so overwhelmed, at the end of the game when she was being interviewed, that she was in tears. She was in tears because of her teammates and the connection and the happiness that she felt. And of course, the win. Of course. She made a statement during that time with the interviewer that I want to paraphrase it, that I probably will not get it word for word. She said the Minnesota Lynx were a great team. And then she said, but tonight we were a great team. There you go. Any given time, okay, I don't care who the team is. If the team collectively decides to win the game and go into the game, into battle, and they have been practicing, they have been working together, they have chemistry, even a little bit of chemistry, and they just dog it out, and they want to win, and they're gritty, and they're aggressively going to the hoop, their chances of winning increase a lot. And this is what I saw in the Minnesota Lynx versus the Seattle Storm. The Seattle Storm came out and they were like, this is our house. We will win this game. Not because they were playing Minnesota way of playing the ball, they were playing their way of playing basketball. And they dominated pretty much. There were times when, people thought, that Minnesota Lynx was going to rally, and they tried. But down to the last second, okay, Seattle Storm pushed. They pushed to get that win. So there are some players who, back to what I was talking about, that really flourish because of the move that they have made. They're flourishing. Thomas on the Phoenix Mercury, she's flourishing. Just is. She is flourishing. Okay? And there were others that I can name, but that's the thing that I'm looking at too, is that even though this whole season has been a lot of newness for everybody, coaches that have been new, players that have been switched around, free agency, rookies that are coming on board, that these, it's adjustment time, and they're still trying to adjust. Some of them better than others. But the other side of that is that there's certain players that really are coming alive, that are really showing how vibrant and how committed they are to the sport, because there's nothing holding them back. And they feel free enough to be who they are. They feel free enough to have fun with basketball. They feel free enough to make the points, to produce, right? So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, And I think it's going to be some time before things settle down. It's going to be some time. And that's to be expected. But there are certain rookies. That's a whole other thing. Rookies. There are certain rookies on certain teams that are producing. They've been producing from day one. Day one. Citron. Iriafen on Washington Mystics. Producing since day one. And there are others. Okay, there are others. So this time that we're in with the teams that we love, the players that we love, it's a time of transition. So whenever it's a time of transition, a lot goes on. A lot is said, a lot is done. A lot needs to be, taken into consideration around building chemistry and all those things that go into, to building a team. So we give them grace, right? We give them grace. All right. And hope that as the season progresses, that people will settle in, settle down, get hyped up, get that dog mentality, go on the court every time to battle the other opponent, so that we can have that as fans, so we can have that, ability to really watch that battle, so that we can see their expertise. We can see them being professional basketball players and doing what they do, producing. And we like to watch that battle. I tell y'all that. So I just wanted to say these few words and tell you all about Bonner and what's happening with her. And in terms of that, she will probably not be with the Liberty for the game, tomorrow, and that she's out for personal reasons. So that's where that is. And, thank you for listening to my rant. And as always, if you find this content enjoyable, helpful, then please subscribe. If you've been checking out, my channel here and there, hey, just come on and subscribe. And give me a thumbs up, because that helps me, please. And also tap the bell so that you can be notified when new content is available. Like always, go Fever. My name is Barbara, around the WNBA. Talk to you soon. Blessings.